In business tonight, the chairman of the Employment Rights Tribunal, retired Justice Christopher Blackman, is hoping that the Caribbean Court of Justice will bring some clarity to some aspects of the Employment Rights Act. The CCJ is set to meet next month to hear the case of Chefette Restaurants Limited versus the former assistant manager Orlando Harris. Mr. Blackman says areas like how awards are reached need to be fully understood.
There are certain cases that need to be. There's a section of the Act that is highly ambiguous, and therefore, when clarity is given to that, hopefully, we will know where we are, what the award should be, and people will have a greater degree of certainty in deciding how to go ahead and settle.
Mr. Blackman was speaking during a seminar hosted by the Barbados Employers Confederation at the Cahill School of Business, which examined lessons from the tribunal. He says many of the cases that appear before the ERT are mostly concerned with employers not following process. He says sometimes it appears that dismissal is far too often the first choice of discipline.
Put yourself in the position of asking, is it fair? Is it fair? Has it been done correctly? And step back from it and don't make a decision in the light of anger or some peeve that you have.
Well, his sentiments were echoed by the president of the Barbados Employers Confederation, Yvonne Hall. She says while the Employment Rights Act has some very positive points, there are some things employers would like to see reviewed. Ms. Hall says there is a lack of regulation to support the act and too many gray areas.
The act has no regulations that support it, and so those areas where it is not explicit, in the absence of having those regulations, it means that sometimes employers or even employees or their representatives are not absolutely sure how we're going to be dealing with a particular issue.
And it's time now to take a look at how those stocks traded on selected exchanges across our region. In Jamaica, Sagicor Select Funds Limited Financial was the volume leader with 9,763,264 units. In Trinidad and Tobago, JMMB Group Limited was the volume leader with 110,000 shares changing hands, all for a value of $228,100. And here in Barbados, Sagicor Financial Corporation Limited was the volume leader, trading 4,072 shares at $2.92 each. And in international business, some of the finance industry's most influential figures have taken issue with Democratic presidential candidate Elizabeth Warren's proposal to tax the ultra-rich. The senator's policy would include a 2% tax on families with a net worth of $50 million to $1 billion and a 3% tax on households worth more than that. Among the critics of the proposed tax, billionaire Bill Gates.
It probably is going to mean that the richest Americans are going to have a little bit less money. Bill Gates is raising this concern, though, about maybe too much in taxes, right? He says that he's willing to pay more. Bill Gates has promised to give away his fortune, but he's just cautioning that if you tax people too much, it can actually backfire because it could stifle innovation and it can cause some capital to shift overseas. And I think he makes some good points. Him and Elizabeth Warren had some back and forth on Twitter, and Elizabeth Warren has said that, she'd be willing to meet with him, and as she's promised that she won't tax all of his $100 billion fortune. But, I think it's important to remember why Elizabeth Warren is pushing for some of these really ambitious and really expensive programs, such as her plan to lower student debt and to also have free public tuition, free public college tuition for everyone. And that's because she's trying to level the playing field in the U.S. economy.
And that is it for business.